ESTHER and VASHTI by Carolyn Gage. Act 1, Scene 1. The courtyard of Mordecai's home. Lights come up on a circle of Jewish women performing a ritual dance with drums and tambourines. At the end of the dance, Sarah steps forward. She is a woman in her 60s and a leader among the women.
Where is the girl who today becomes a woman? Where is the girl who today becomes a woman?
Esther steps forward.
Where is the girl who today becomes a woman?
A group of teenage girls emerge from the house. They enter the circle. One of the girls, Rachel, steps forward. She has just turned 13.
I am she.
And what is the name of this girl?
I am Rachel, daughter of Mordecai and Leah.
Rachel, daughter of Mordecai and Leah, have you begun to bleed?
I have.
Rachel looks at Deborah again and starts to laugh. Esther turns to look at Deborah, who immediately looks at the ground. Rachel, struggling to be serious, turns to Sarah. Sarah strikes her drum and 3 women step forward. Jael lays a mat in front of Rachel and sets a chalice on it. Hannah sets a knife on the mat, and Ruth places a timbrel decorated with ribbons. The 3 women step back into the circle, and Sarah lifts the chalice.
Will you drink the salt tears of the mother Hagar, whose children's exile will be her exile, whose children's tears will be her tears? Will you be willing to raise your children alone and in the wilderness? Rachel, daughter of Leah, will you drink the tears of Hagar?
I will.
She takes the chalice and drinks from it.
And will you take the sword of Judith, who slew Holofernes as he slept in his own tent? Will you take up arms in defense of the children, the mothers of Israel?
I will.
And will you take this timbrel of Miriam to make your song in the wilderness, in your passage from slavery to freedom, to sing your song of triumph over your enemies wherever you go?
I will!
She raises the timbrel and shakes it. There is a great ululation from the girls and women.
Then Rachel, daughter of Leah, I, Sarah, daughter of Dinah, anoint you this day and celebrate your passage into womanhood.
The women all crowd around Rachel to congratulate her. Suddenly, a figure appears. She is shrouded in a burqa that completely covers her face. Rachel catches sight of the figure.
Vashti! It's Vashti! Look, Esther, it's Vashti!
Rachel!
Esther, aren't you going to speak to her?
Why should I? I didn't invite her.
Well, she's here, and I don't think she's going to go away. Esther and Rachel have a visitor. It is time for us to go.
Come on, Deborah.
The Jewish women and their daughters exit. The stage is empty except for Esther, Rachel, and their visitor. Suddenly, the visitor throws off the burqa. It's Vashti, the queen of Persia, wearing a resplendent Persian gown. Rachel runs to embrace her.
Vashti! Vashti, you came!
Rachel, look at you. A young woman. Today you are a woman. Here, this is for you.
She produces an elegantly wrapped bundle and gives it to Rachel. She turns to Esther.
Did you think I would miss the celebration for Rachel's coming of age?
It's dangerous for you to come here.
No one saw me.
I mean, it's dangerous for us. Did you ever think of that?
How is it dangerous for you?
Because we're Jews. We're not Persians. This isn't our country. These aren't our laws. Anything that happens, they blame it on us. My friends who just left, don't you think they know who you are?
I hope they know who I am. I hope they know that just because I have become a queen, I still love and remember my best friend Esther.
Rachel holds up a magnificent gown.
Is this for me?
You like it?
It's beautiful! Look, Esther!
From the king's harem?
I had it made.
I'll put it on.
Rachel, we don't allow anything Persian in our home.
It's a gift.
I don't want her to wear it.
She's not a child anymore. Today she is a woman.
Today she is a Jewish woman. And as long as she lives with me, she's going to remember that.
Is this about me? Because if it is, let's leave Rachel out of it.
It's about Persia. It's about exile. It's about enemies. It's about remembering who we are when we've been taken captive to a foreign land against our will. So let's not leave Rachel out of it. And yes, it is about you. Because you are now the queen of Persia. The queen of our enemies.
Esther, what's happened?
Hadassah. My name is Hadassah.
I can't call you Esther.
Esther is a Persian name. The name of one of your idols.
It's the name of one of the names of the great goddess Ishtar.
It's a heathen name. An abomination.
I see.
I've been learning about my history. The history of the Jews. We have been chosen by God above all other people. He has made his covenant with us.
Is that why you're in exile?
We are in exile as a punishment for our sins, for forgetting this covenant, for whoring after foreign gods and consorting with heathen women. When we put away this uncleanliness and when we sanctify ourselves and rededicate ourselves to the God of our fathers, when we remember the covenant and are faithful, he will deliver us. Even as he delivered us from slavery in Egypt and led us to the promised land.
I see.
We are lost because we don't remember our history.
And what about your own history, Hadassah? Do you remember that?
I remember that my mother was murdered by Persians.
No, you don't remember that. You were just a baby. But I'll tell you what you do remember. You remember that a Persian family took you in and raised you, gave work to your uncle Mordecai so that he could feed you and his daughter Rachel. You remember that family, my family, and you remember how we loved you and how we protected you. And you remember a girl who took care of you like a sister. You remember a girl who told stories to you and who sang to you and who held you in her arms when you cried for your mother. And you remember the nights we spent together under the stars. You remember the touch of her arm. You remember the scent of her hair. You remember, as those girls grew older and playmates turned to lovers, the kisses.
I remember someone who left to marry the king.
That wasn't my choice, and you know it. And you know that if it weren't for my being queen, your uncle never would have gotten the appointment as gatekeeper of the harem. And he wouldn't have this house. And you wouldn't have all this time to be studying the famous history of your people.
Did you have to trade the king's sexual favors for the appointment?
I'm the queen.
You're his head harem girl, that's all. Did you have to trade sexual favors for my uncle's job?
Well, I guess there's no point in my offering Rachel a position at the palace.
You would expose Rachel to that whorehouse?
Well,
No, wait. You think it's an honor for women to be penned up in a harem like cattle? You think it's an honor to be tricked out in those ridiculous clothes as if that would make it any...
Just then Rachel appears in a very expensive belly dance costume.
Rachel!
Look, Vashti!
She begins the sinuous movements of a belly dance.
Where did you learn that?
All the girls do it.
Well, you're not going to do it here. It's a slave dance.
Vashti does it.
And
Rachel, I think you need to listen to your cousin.
take those slave clothes off.
But Vashti gave them to me.
We don't wear Persian clothes in this house. This is a Jewish home, and we wear Jewish clothes.
What about Vashti?
Vashti is the queen of Persia, and she has to wear slave clothes, but we don't.
But slaves don't wear clothes like this.
Sexual slaves do. You'll, when you're older, you'll understand.
I am older. Today I became a woman.
Take that off right now and give it back to Vashti.
No! She gave it to me!
Did you hear what I said?
No!
Rachel, it was my mistake. I'm sorry. Please.
Rachel runs off.
You have brought division to my house.
No, Esther. I brought love. You were the one with all the hatred and division. The war is over. I'm sorry for what happened to your people. So was my family. We have always tried to help the Jews. But it's over, and nobody can bring back the dead, and most of your people are settled in Persia now and don't want to go back. Life moves on. You can't get stuck in the past. Rachel is 2 generations away from the war. You don't even remember it. You were just a baby. How many generations do you want to carry the grudge? How much blood needs to be shed before you will be satisfied?
Me! It's your people! It's your king who are the murderers!
You don't know anything about the king! You've never met him. You've never even seen him. And yet you know all about who he is, and you're so sure I'm his slave, his whore. You and your God, the great judges. I may be a pagan, I may not be one of the special chosen ones, but the goddess I worship believes in life and believes that we are all her children, Persian and Jew, men and women, and believes in kindness and forgiveness and love. And it's probably the most heathen thing about me, the thing you hate most of all the things you hate about me, which seems to be everything. But I love you. And you can call me a slave and a whore and accuse me of corrupting your uncle's child. But that isn't going to stop me from loving you. Because the pleasure I found in your arms was the most sacred experience of my life.
You lie with the king.
That doesn't change my feelings for you.
Well, it's changed mine.
Esther.
Hadassah!
I should go. Tell Rachel I had to leave.
She exits. Esther watches her go in silence. Upset, Esther picks up one of the frame drums and taps it a few times. Mordecai enters.
Esther, good news.
Uncle.
Esther, we are going to have a visitor from the palace.
She was just here.
She?
Vashti. She came to see Rachel.
Vashti, such an honor.
She's not coming anymore.
Why?
This is no place for a queen.
What, are you ashamed?
Yes. Yes, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed every time I see a Jew bow down and take his hat off to a Persian. I'm ashamed when our Jewish children speak the language of our enemies. I'm ashamed when a man who remembers the burning of Jerusalem speaks of honor in the same breath with the name of the king.
Esther, she is the queen.
She is nothing. She's more of a slave, more of a captive than we are.
Ah, you had a little fight with Vashti?
No. No, I didn't have a little fight with Vashti. She represents everything the Jews hate. She's a pagan, she's a Persian, she's...
Enough! Now I am ashamed. I am ashamed to have a niece of mine speak with such ingratitude about a friend who has done so much for her. Ingratitude is a sin, like pride.
Ingratitude. The Persians have taken away our homes. They have stolen everything.
What do you know about that? Were you there, huh? Were you there? Do you remember? What do you know about the war?
I've heard the stories.
The stories? Listen to me, Esther. You don't know. May you and Rachel never know. It is a time of peace now. We must all work to make it a time of peace. You say you want to remember, but I, Mordecai, I do remember. And I tell you, it is my prayer every day to forget. But I did not come here to fight with my lovely niece. I came to give her the good news. You are going to have a visitor. Not Vashti, but someone else.
Who is it?
It is a friend, and you will be nice to a friend, won't you? You will be nice to a friend who has been nice to your uncle and who only wishes well for her family.
Who is this friend?
He is a captain in the army, a very brave man, not an enemy. He has never fought our people during the war. He was a child, like you. Just think of that. He was a child like you, your same age, like a friend, like a companion.
Mordecai.
Listen. And this man, listen to this. He speaks Aramaic. Just think of that. A captain in the Persian army who speaks our language. He was raised by a Jewish nurse, and he has the greatest interest in our customs and our people.
How do you know this man?
I see him at the gate. He speaks to me in Aramaic. Esther, the man speaks to me in our language. And he asks me about my job, and he asked me what I remember about my home before the exile, and he asked me about my family. Just think.
He asks you about your family.
And what do you think I tell him?
tell him about your little daughter, Rachel, and you tell him about your little house outside the palace, and you tell him about your goats. Oh, and you tell him about your beautiful niece, Hadassah, who happens to be old enough to marry. Just think, she happens to be old enough to marry.
Esther, where's the harm? You meet the man, you talk to him a little, maybe, God forbid, you should actually like a man who speaks our language, who has an interest in our people, who is nice to your uncle. Where's the harm?
I'm not going to marry.
Oh, who said marry? I said talk to the man. Just talk. Where's the harm?
If I were to marry anyone, and I'm not, it would never be a Persian, a captain in the Persian army.
Esther, we are a captive people. Now Vashti has gotten me a good job at the palace, and it's true, sometimes I take my hat off, I smile, I speak Persian too. Why? Because nobody speaks Aramaic. If I am too proud to speak Persian, then nobody will talk to me. I will not hear about troubles before it reaches my family. I will not hear about new laws, new policies. I will not follow who is in favor at the palace and who is not. And in short, I will not keep my job long. My pride or my job? I keep my pride, I lose both. Where is the pride for a Jew who cannot feed his family? So, I keep my job, and maybe my pride gets a little bump on the head, but I have a hard head. No, wait. Even a gatekeeper with his hat off cannot protect his family if there's trouble. But father-in-law to a captain in the army, yeah, that is something not to toss away. When one family includes a captain in the army, one can be sure that nothing bad is going to happen.
Not to us, maybe, but it's going to happen to the rest of our people.
And if they could have a captain in the army, they would.
Not all Jews bow down to Persian gods. Not all Jews take their hats off to their Persian enemies. And not all women bow down to their husbands either. In the desert, God spoke to Miriam just the same as he did to her brother Moses.
And God smote Miriam for her pride. Remember that, Esther. God smote her with leprosy, huh? We cannot afford to cut ourselves off from our allies. People are not perfect. There are good Persians and there are bad Jews. Let God be the judge. It is not our job to forgive, to accept who people are, and to let them love us however they can. Listen to me, Esther. This is true. Your uncle Mordecai once turned away someone who loved him very much, because he was too proud, too unforgiving. And there is not a day gone by that I have not wept bitter tears for it.
Who was it?
Never mind that. But I know what I am talking about when I tell you to accept and forgive. And to talk, just to talk, to this captain who is coming today to see you.
Today?
Just then, Rachel runs in wearing Vashti's gift.
Esther!
Rachel, I told you to take that off.
There's a man here to see you, a Persian.
The captain!
No!
Please, just talk to him.
Take that off.
But Vashti gave it to me.
Do as your cousin says, Esther.
All right. I'll talk to him. But take that off.
I'll send them to you. Come on. Let's leave them alone.
Where's Vashti?
She had to leave.
You see the bells?
They're very lovely.
They exit.
Esther?
Hadassah. That's my Jewish name.
The Queen has told me about you.
The Queen.
She speaks very highly of you. In fact, she said you would make a good queen.
Oh.
She said that...
That I would make a good wife. Well, go on. Is that what she said?
I have offended you.
You offend if you don't answer the question. Did the Queen say that I would make a good wife?
No.
No. She said that I would make a bad wife?
No. No. She didn't say that.
Ah, so she left it an open question?
You hate me. You hate me, and you are humiliating me because I am Persian. How could any Jewish woman not despise a captain in the Persian army after what my country has done to your people? My presence in your courtyard must be unbearable. My presumption in coming here. Esther.
Hadassah.
I'll leave.
No. Tell me about Persian policy.
In the army? We are divided. There are those who resent your people, who want to send the Jews back to your country. There are those who feel that the war is over. Persia is a big country. There are those like myself who want to see peace. King is inclined towards peace, and the Queen has done much to have Hebrews appointed to positions of high visibility in the palace. But the vice-chancellor, Haman, is always stirring up hatred. He has ambitions, and war creates opportunities for men with ambitions.
How much power does Haman have?
He himself is a foreigner, an Agagite, and there are those who don't consider him a threat because of that. But he has risen to the position of vice-chancellor by a shrewd political alliance and by his marriage to ZERESH, a member of the Queen's court, a daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Persia. But he is still popular with the people because they see him as one of their own, a common man who looks out for their interests. He knows how to appeal to their ignorance and their prejudices.
But the men of good breeding like yourself continue to point out the advantages of cheap foreign labor.
I'm wasting your time.
No, please. Stay and tell me more about your great love of the Jews. Let me see. You find us intelligent, hardworking, yes, very hardworking, industrious, and our women are so strong. Yes, the Jewish women are so strong. Some of them have had their whole families murdered in front of them. And so they hire themselves out to Persian families and raise the children of their enemies as if they were their own. Now that takes strength. And I'll bet some of those little Persian boys will grow up so nostalgic over the memories of these strong Jewish women, they'll even decide to marry one. Sort of like having a perpetual nursemaid. Every little boy's dream.
I'm sorry.
I'm not!
Blackout. End of scene. Act 1, Scene 2. A Persian army encampment at night. Some of the men are drumming, while others perform a war dance. Darius, a young Persian captain, rises and addresses the men.
Men! How long do we sit here and dance the war dance like little boys playing soldier? How long do we sit here and polish our swords and our armor like relics of the past?
No longer.
How long do we sit and watch our children go hungry, the children of Persia, while the Hebrew foreigners swarm over our land like a plague of locusts?
Disgusting.
How long do we sit and watch our Persian elders, our war veterans, grovel and beg in the streets while the king appoints Jews to work in the palace? That's right, my brothers, Jews in the royal palace and guarding the harem.
Ugh.
Persian women, a Jew. While we sit here and wait for the enemy to attack, I tell you, he is already inside the walls of the palace.
No.
My brothers, our good king Ahasuerus has forgotten his duties. Our king has become so besotted with his Jew-loving lesbian queen Vashti, he does not remember that it was Persians, not Jews, who built his palace, his harem, the gate he gives over to foreigners to guard. It was Persians, not Jews, who fought and bled and died to unify Persia and subjugate the warring nations who threatened our borders.
It was us!
And brothers, this whoring queen who has forgotten her people, who lies with women as with men, this debauched, lecherous queen, she is spreading her corruption like a plague throughout the palace. And brothers, open your eyes. The corruption, this pollution is contaminating our women, the mothers and daughters of Persia.
No!
Yes, the maggots of Queen Vashti's depraved lusts that are even now hatching in the damp and filthy recesses of her adulterous soul and waiting to crawl out and take wing in darkness and in secrecy to infest the temples and the homes of our pure and virtuous Persian women, dare to bleed and multiply.
Not our women!
The day will come, my brothers, when we will wake to find our daughters and your wives blighted in the bud, cankered, diseased by the sorceries of this whore queen, seduced and infected by the lechery of the Jewish foreigners who have overrun our land. And when this happens, my brothers, will we have the strength to rise up and take arms against our own women? Or shall we, like Hebrew men, become like women ourselves, enslaved, captive, exiles in your own country?
No!
To the palace!
To the palace! To the palace!
Suddenly, Haman enters. He is the vice-chancellor of Persia.
What is going on here?
Haman.
It's Haman.
Who gave orders for the men to arm themselves?
I did, sir.
Captain, order your men to put down their weapons immediately and disperse.
Men, Vice-Chancellor Haman has commanded that we disarm and disperse for the night. Put your weapons away. Men, I understand your frustration. I am frustrated too. We must wait. Our day is coming, but tonight we must wait.
They disperse.
And what is the day that you are waiting for?
The day when we dethrone the whoring Queen Vashti and purge the nation of these Jewish foreigners.
You fool! You could hang for this. It's treason.
Well, you should know.
What do you mean by that?
I'm only building on foundations you yourself have laid.
You fool. I don't know what you are talking about.
You could be king.
Captain, I'm going to assume that you and your men have been drinking tonight, and I will forget what I have seen, and I will forget the words I heard you speak, and I advise you to do the same.
Why don't you have me arrested? Or are you afraid the men might mutiny?
Haman slaps him twice.
Why don't you strike me back? Are you afraid I would have you hanged? Fool!
Haman exits. Gabitha has been watching this. Darius notices him.
You! What are you doing here? I order the men to disperse!
I came back for my knife, sir.
Go!
Gabitha starts to turn, but then turns back. Crossing in front of Darius, he picks up a knife lying on the ground.
Ah, there it is. Right there in plain sight. Isn't that always the way, sir? Something right in front of your face, and you can't see it at all.
Soldier, I told you to go.
Yes, sir. Right in front of my face. All I had to do was just reach out.
Go.
Yes, sir.
He turns to exit, deliberately dropping his knife. He turns back to look at Darius. Darius, who has been watching him, crosses slowly to the knife and picks it up. Gabitha smiles and exits. Just then, MARSENA enters.
Oh, Darius, I didn't see you.
We missed you tonight, MARSENA.
Oh, did you drill the men?
We almost had a riot.
Really? What about?
The Jews, who are taking our jobs, and the Queen, who is corrupting our women.
So much hate.
There's going to be trouble.
The king would never permit it.
Mark my words. There's going to be trouble. I worry about you.
Me?
Whose side will you be on?
I fight for the king.
And if the king ordered us to fight the Jews?
He won't.
If he did, whose side would you be on? It's that girl, isn't it? The gatekeeper's niece? She's got you bewitched.
No, she doesn't have me bewitched. She had every right to refuse me.
Refuse you? What are you talking about?
I offered myself.
You offered yourself. You proposed a marriage.
And she wouldn't have me.
You're joking.
That's where I was tonight.
You mean tonight? You were over at that Jew's house proposing while I was here trying to hold back a riot. Hey, MARSENA, friend, you've taken this thing a little too far. I mean, I can understand being attracted to Jewish girls. I can. I felt that way myself sometimes. Some of them know how to make themselves look real good. It may be unpatriotic for me to say it, but I've seen some of them that even look better than Persian girls. So you don't have to explain it to me. I understand. But there's no reason to get carried away. Just because you're attracted to one of them doesn't mean you have to go and marry her, and she's not expecting it either. You want the girl, you pay her uncle a little something. Or you just take her.
Esther is as honorable as any Persian woman.
Sure she is. But a woman is a woman. You're a captain in the king's army. Come on, MARSENA, look at yourself. What's happened to you? You used to be a leader, somebody the men look up to. You used to like to mix it up with us, remember? Huh? Hey, come on. Yeah. And now this is how it is. Is that how you want it to be? You want to turn your back on your best friend? You want to turn your back on me, MARSENA? Yeah. It's almost like you care more about this Jewish girl than you care about me.
Maybe I do.
He rises and exits. Gabatha, who has been eavesdropping, steps out from the shadow. He stands waiting.
I think it's time to pay a visit to the gatekeeper's niece.
He tosses the knife to Gabatha, who catches it and grins. Blackout. End of scene. Act 1, Scene 3. Outside the gate to the king's harem, Mordecai is on duty, amusing himself with a private dance. Suddenly, there are loud screams off stage. 2 guards drag in a young Persian girl, TIAMAT, who's about Rachel's age. She resists them fiercely, her clothes are dirty and torn from the struggle.
Here, wait. What are you doing? What are you doing?
She was running away. We caught her going over the wall.
Over the wall? That's a very high wall for such a small person.
She bites the guard, but the guard grabs
Ow.
her hair.
Here, release her.
We have to take her to the king. She's one of his harem girls.
I don't see where that's necessary. Now, come on. There.
He takes custody of the girl.
She looks like she's new here, aren't you? Yeah, and she didn't understand the rules. Did you? You see? She was only going to pick the pomegranates on the other side of the wall, weren't you? There's no harm done. She climbed up, she climbed down, and here she is. Where's the harm?
The penalty for trying to escape is death.
But the girl was only trying to pick pomegranates, weren't you? Here.
He puts coins in the hands of the guards.
We will forget this little misunderstanding. You have a daughter, hmm? Maybe she has taken a little peek or two over some walls, huh? Where's the harm? You go buy some pomegranates for those girls, hmm?
The guards look at the coins. Mordecai produces 2 more.
Oh, and of course, for the wife.
He gives them each another coin. They exchange looks and release the girl.
My best to the family.
They exit.
So, and tell me your name.
Tiamat?
Tiamat. A goddess.
He removes his hat and bows.
I'm honored. And why should a goddess be climbing over palace walls?
I want to go home.
Ah,
I didn't want to come here. They forced me.
ah.
I don't want to be in the harem.
Many people are where they don't want to be. That is a fact. And it is not our fault. But do you want to die? This is the question you must ask yourself. Do you want to die? Because if you do, then there is nothing to keep you from climbing over the wall. But if you don't want to die, things are a little more complicated. You see, if you want to live, you must not look at the wall. You must not think about the wall. You must not even notice the wall is there. Huh? Not so simple, is it? To die is easy. So it becomes a game. You or the wall. Live or die.
Does it work? To pretend it isn't there?
Does it work? Now you are asking a question that you must not ask. That is part of the game.
Suddenly, ZERESH appears. She is a member of the court.
There she is, you troublemaker.
She slaps the girl.
ZERESH, she's done no harm.
No harm. We caught her trying to run away. That could cost me my position at court. Oh, you little ingrate. I'm reporting you to the king.
Oh, ZERESH, wait. I had a little discussion with the guards, and it was all just a misunderstanding. The girl didn't know the rules, and she saw a pomegranate tree.
What a little liar. She knows the rules. I taught them to her myself. Once a girl enters the king's harem, she can never leave again. She knows the rules all right, and that's why she was breaking them.
She starts to drag the girl off.
ZERESH, wait. I want to understand something. You are a member of the Queen's Court, and it is your job to train the girls when they come here. And then there is a new girl, a girl like this one, and she is not happy here. She is so unhappy she wants to leave. But how can this be? She has been chosen for the king's harem. How is it possible that she can be unhappy? And so I asked myself, is there something or someone who is making this girl want to leave? But who could that someone be? Who would be so foolish as to mistreat a girl who has been chosen for the king's harem? And yet, that must be it. For why else would a girl who is so lucky be so unhappy? And then I think, what if other people are asking the same question? And let's just say they were to ask a guard or even a gatekeeper. They could ask a gatekeeper, have you seen anyone mistreat this girl? Huh? And then this gatekeeper, he does not know what to answer because in truth, he thinks he has seen something that might have looked like a slap.
How dare you?
Oh, how dare I what?
Are you threatening me?
Oh, forgive me, but I am only trying to understand my duty. Should I lie to the king?
Insolence! Well, you've made quite a conquest for yourself. A Jewish gatekeeper. I'll remember this.
Remember what?
Open the harem gates.
MORDECAI opens the gates and ZERESH pushes TIAMAT inside.
My husband approaches. Leave us.
MORDECAI exits as Haman approaches.
Did you see that?
See what?
How the Jew keeps his hat on?
Why should I care?
Because even the servants in the palace mock you.
Because they keep their hats on?
Yes, because they keep their hats on. You don't notice anything.
How fortunate I am to have a wife who will notice for me.
You mock me.
Some things are best not to notice.
Husband, I don't understand you.
Wife, I would be alarmed if you did.
How can you let these Jews disrespect you and still think you are going to be promoted?
Do you really believe, wife, that power is a question of the taking off of hats? Of who bows lowest and in what order? Of who sits next to the king this week and who gets to wash his feet? Do you really believe that?
And do you really believe, husband, that it's just a question of having married the right woman?
The right woman?
A woman of the court? A woman whose family is one of the most influential in Persia.
That right woman. Well, I'm glad you brought the subject up because once in my youth and in my ambition, and you do know that I am an ambitious man, I made that mistake. And see what a price I've had to pay.
And what price is that?
Having to listen to this endless drivel about court protocol, court rumors, court gossip.
Well, then I guess you don't want to hear that the queen is pregnant.
Ah, the queen is pregnant. The queen is pregnant? Does that mean she's going to have a baby?
You'll go ahead and laugh, but if anything should happen to the king, a living heir would make things more complicated.
And what do you think is going to happen to the king?
You know what I'm talking about.
And that is the great horror of my condition. I do know what you're talking about. I am privy to the boundless banality of that bottomless repository of trivia that is
I praise you to the queen every day. I listen for news of opportunities for you. I warn you about potential enemies.
Woman, you gossip!
And so just what is it that you think a vice-chancellor's wife should be doing with her time?
Educating herself?
About what?
About history, about languages, about other countries, reading, writing, arithmetic.
And you know women in the palace who do this.
Not in the palace.
Oh, not in the palace.
Take that fellow just now, the one with the hat?
Mordecai.
Mordecai's niece studies these things.
How do you know?
He tells me. He's very proud of her.
Oh, and does he tell you she's a lesbian? Is he proud of that?
Oh, Esther is unmarried.
Well,
maybe she finds her studies more rewarding than the duties of a housewife.
Maybe she finds women more attractive than men.
Well, then we have something in common, which is more than I can say for us. Goodbye, wife.
Husband.
Blackout. End of scene. Act 1, Scene 4. The interior of the king's harem. There are cushions on the floor and expensive fabric hanging from the walls. Downstage is a low table with a sheet of papyrus and a writing implement.
Hinana, show them how it's done. Hinana.
Oh no, I have forgotten.
What you've forgotten is more than the rest of us ever learned.
You girls have your own dances now.
Oh, please, Nana. Bather's never seen you dance.
Well, then you tell her about it.
Oh, come on.
Leave her alone. Can't you see Inanna's afraid she'll embarrass herself?
Embarrass myself?
Shh, I'm just trying to keep you from making a fool of yourself.
I will make a fool of myself if I want to.
She rises and throws off her shawl. The harem women cheer. They settle back to watch the master. At the end of the dance, Abra turns to the harem women.
So, does anyone know who the chosen one is for tonight?
ZERESH hasn't told us yet.
I bet it's Samar. The king has asked for her every night this week.
Oh, he can have her.
Samar has entered.
Did I hear my name?
We were just saying that we thought the king would ask for you again tonight.
I think he's pleased with me.
He's only pleased with himself.
And he's the only one.
I can't believe it. Are you making fun of the king of Persia?
She's been sleeping with him for a week, and she has to ask.
I could report you for this. I could have you all hanged.
Hey, Zendra, do you remember that girl from Nîmes? The one the king was so crazy about 2 years ago?
You mean the one they found drowned in the pool of the harem courtyard?
That's the one. Such a tragic death. She was so young and a favorite of the king.
Such a mystery how it happened. She was an excellent swimmer.
What are you saying? Did you kill her?
She wants to know if we killed her.
She just got in over her head.
We all tried.
She just wouldn't listen until it was too late.
Vashti enters with Tiamat.
Sisters! Sisters, Tiamat is back with us, and I know how happy we all are to see her again. I know that some of you may have seen her climbing the courtyard wall, but it was my fault. I forgot that she was new here, and I asked her to bring me some pomegranates. She assumed I meant the pomegranates that grow on the tree outside the courtyard, an understandable mistake for a new girl. And it was my fault for not being more clear, but we've got it all straightened out now. And she's going to be staying with us.
She was running away. We all saw her.
Why don't you help Tiamat get cleaned up? We're so glad you're with us again. You tell me or any of the other women if there's anything you need or want.
The harem women exit with Tiamat. Samar stays behind.
Samar, the women tell me you've been spying and asking questions about me. Now, I understand that you're new here, and that you're the current favorite of the king. I'm happy for you, and I'm happy that the king is enjoying you, but I am the queen, and I intend to remain the queen. Do you understand? After you've been here longer, you will come to appreciate how the women in the harem all pull together for each other. It can be very difficult for so many women from so many different places to live together, year in and year out, unable to go any further than the courtyard. We all need to be very considerate of each other. You're going to find the harem has its own unofficial rules and its own unofficial ways of enforcing them.
Is it one of the unofficial rules that the queen gets to leave the palace when she wants to?
Vashti crosses to a table where she kneels to write something.
Oh, forgive me for being rude, but I've just remembered something. I want to write it down before I forget.
She finishes writing.
There. This is a message I need to have delivered to my friend Esther. If you've been asking questions about me, then I'm sure you know all about who Esther is, don't you? Yes, good. Then I won't have to explain our relationship. We've had a little disagreement. Nothing serious, you know, but I need to send her an apology because I've learned it's better to nip these things in the bud before they get too out of hand. Now, Esther is a Jew, but of course you knew that. And I'm sure you know how potentially dangerous it could be for the Queen of Persia to be sending secret messages to a Jew outside the palace. So I'm going to ask you to do a big favor for me. I'm going to ask you to deliver it.
Handing her the note.
But don't worry, Mordecai, who's Esther's uncle, but you knew that, didn't you, is the gatekeeper, and if you're wearing this burqa, he has been instructed to look the other way, and you will be allowed to slip out of the gates.
Samar turns to leave.
Wait, you'll need to wear the burqa.
I don't need it. I'm not leaving the palace. I'm taking your letter to the king.
But he'll have me arrested and executed.
You should have thought of that before.
Oh, dear. I see you have outsmarted me. How foolish of me to think that I could disobey the king and get away with it. You will make a better queen than me. You are so wise not to leave the harem. Yes, that is the safest thing to do. And of course the women will protect you here. They are wonderful women. They have been a family to me, and I know they will be that way for you also. We'll go.
Samar turns to go.
I just hope they don't find out who betrayed me. Because if that happened, you might die even before I did. In fact, we would probably be buried in the same grave together.
Samar throws down the note and turns to exit.
Oh, wait, you forgot the note!
Samar turns to look at her.
I need you to take this to Esther. Friendships between women can be tricky, and if one doesn't learn to take responsibility for one's words, things have an unpleasant way of escalating. Besides, I know how eager you are to follow in the footsteps of a queen.
How do I know you won't have me arrested?
Vashti hands her the note.
Because now we know each other's secrets. sister.
Samar takes the note. Vashti offers her the burqa. Samar takes it and exits. Blackout. End of scene. Act 1, Scene 5. The road to the palace. MARSENA is walking slowly. Haman enters.
MARSENA!
Sir!
No need for all this formality. We're on our way to a banquet, Captain, not a battle.
Yes, sir.
But you look more like you're on your way to a funeral.
I don't enjoy the king's banquets, sir.
What? A young man like you not enjoy wine and good meat and women?
No, sir.
Since you brought it up, I've been uncomfortable at some of these affairs myself. This is off the record, of course.
Yes, sir.
Seems to me that all that money might be better spent. You're a captain, a leader. Let's say you were an advisor to the king. What would you do with so much money?
It's not my place, sir, to advise the king.
But let's just say it was, off the record, of course. Where would you spend it?
Well, it seems to me that we have a large population of foreigners who work very hard, but who are still living in terrible poverty.
You mean the Jews?
Yes, sir. I think something might be done for them.
I've thought that myself.
You have?
You thought I was an anti-Semite, didn't you?
Well,
Good! Good! Were it known where my true sympathies lie, I would lose the confidence of those who wish the Jews harm. And then what good could I do them? So I fooled you too, You know, I am a foreigner myself, an Agagite. I was raised in poverty. Have you ever been poor, Captain?
No, sir.
It's to your credit that you can empathize with those of us who have suffered.
Yes, sir.
It's usually more comfortable for the man of privilege to take for granted the conditions of those whose misfortune it is to pay for his pleasures.
I have always felt guilty about the captivity of the Jews. If I could trade my privilege for their freedom, I would.
Captain, what a model of unselfishness. You astound me. And your proposition is all the more remarkable for your complete ignorance as to what a life of poverty would entail.
Thank you, sir.
In a world of hypocrites and ignoramuses, it is an honor to meet a man of integrity.
Thank you, sir.
Who would expect to find such an ally of the Jews in the king's army?
Oh, there are several who feel the way I do.
What? Officers?
Yes, sir.
And you know them?
Yes, sir.
No. No, it would be too dangerous.
What, sir?
No. No.
Sir, you can trust me.
I was thinking that if I could meet with these men, but it would be too dangerous, and
I could talk to them, sir.
No. No, it would be treason for an officer to call such a meeting. No, it's too dangerous.
But you could call it. You're the vice-chancellor. You could call a meeting of these officers. There's nothing wrong with a vice-chancellor consulting with a group of officers on behalf of the king.
I could. You're right. I would need their names and...
I can give you a list.
How soon could I have it?
I can give it to you tonight after the banquet.
Captain! I'm glad we had this talk. I think we just might be able to bring a little justice to this evil world.
Darius enters with Gabatha.
Why, here's your friend Darius!
He's...
Darius! Man! What, have you forgotten the way to the palace? Let's not stand on ceremony. It's a banquet night. But why are you going in the wrong direction? Come, join your friend MARSENA and we'll all go together.
MARSENA, would you like for us to join you?
If you're going the same way.
But it appears we're not. We have an errand to attend before the banquet, or we would take you up on your invitation.
Suit yourself, but I never saw so many young men so averse to having a good time at someone else's expense.
Haman exits. MARSENA starts to follow. DARIUS extends his hand to MARSENA.
Your hand, MARSENA.
MARSENA takes it.
There, brother.
MARSENA exits.
You see this hand, Gabitha. Tonight, this hand will wreak its vengeance on the foreign whore who has dared to come between me and my brother.
Blackout. End of scene. Act 1, Scene 6. The interior of the king's harem. Vashti is still asleep. Esther enters, carrying the gown that Vashti gave to Rachel. She has never been inside the harem before, and she walks around, inspecting it with a mixture of curiosity and disgust. Vashti wakes and watches her. Esther turns to see her. The two women look at each other for a moment without speaking. Finally, Esther drops the gown.
I came to return your present.
I was dreaming. Do you want to hear my dream? We were playing together, like girls, except that in the dream we weren't girls anymore, but we were. And then the dream shifted and we were in a boat. And you said you were leaving, and I was arguing with you because we were in the middle of a river and there was no place for you to go.
You're the one who left.
Do you want to hear my dream? So we were arguing, and then I tried to grab you, but you weren't in the boat anymore. And I couldn't see you, and I was calling and calling, and then I felt something. So I looked down at the bottom of the boat, and there was a dead man lying there. I moved my feet out of the way so I wouldn't touch him, but then he reached out and grabbed my ankle, and I was trying to scream, but I couldn't, and then I woke up.
Esther fingers a hanging of silk.
Look at this. How much does this cost?
I don't know. What do you think it meant, my dream?
Do you know how many Jewish children could eat for what was spent on all this silk?
Esther, I do what I can for your people.
This is more money than 10 Jewish families could save in a lifetime.
Why did you come?
To return the slave dress.
You could have sent it by MORDECAI.
And to tell you to stop matchmaking me with officers in the Persian army. How dare you?
Oh, I see.
How dare you? Did you think that we could be close again if you could turn me into a slave like yourself?
Esther.
Hadassah. Do you realize how dangerous that was? Do you have any idea what you've exposed my family to? Vashti. I'm a Jew. He could kill me for refusing him, and no one would even ask questions.
I know MARSENA. He would never do that.
You don't know that. You don't know that at all. He wouldn't kill you. He wouldn't kill a Persian woman. But what would he do to a Jew? A Jew who had humiliated him, or a Jew who hadn't humiliated him. It doesn't matter. Where do you think all these people are who slaughtered us and took us into captivity? Do you think that they just evaporated into the air? Wandered off into the desert? Where are the Persians who murdered my mother and Mordecai's wife? Who butchered our children, babies? Who locked the doors on us and burned us up alive? Where are these monsters? These criminals? Look around you. I can see them. Why can't you? Because they are your subjects, Vashti. The men of Persia. And because you are a good Persian woman and you don't ask questions. That's why you can't see them. You don't want to think about where all this came from. You don't want to think about who pays for your luxuries. You don't ask because you know that if you do, you might have to hear the truth.
I said I was sorry.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Didn't you even bother to read the note?
What note?
I sent a messenger to you with a note. I was apologizing for...
Well, I didn't get it.
She must have run away. She must have run away.
Who?
Samar. The girl I sent with the note, she was a new girl, the king's favorite. She was blackmailing me because she had seen me leave the palace.
So you sent her on an errand outside the palace so you could blackmail her back?
You don't understand. She was threatening all of the women here. They were going to kill her if I couldn't find a way to bring her under control.
So now she's run away, and they'll kill her if they catch her.
Don't judge me, Esther.
Somebody needs to.
Then let it be another woman in the harem. Maybe I don't know what it's like to be a Jew, but you don't understand what it's like to be a woman in a position of power. Power that comes with responsibilities. I am the Queen of Persia. I didn't choose to be that, but it was my duty to my family and my country. Luxury? You have the luxury to please yourself every day. But I don't have that luxury. I have to do many things I would choose not to do. And you know what I'm talking about because you used to be my lover. I have power and I have privilege, but it comes at a price. And I'm in a position to help the other women here. And I have been able to do something for the Jews. You don't have to make compromises, but you are not in a position to help anybody.
I am in a position to set an example for Rachel.
Of what? Self-righteous superiority? Nothing will turn her Persian faster than your example.
Suddenly, the harem women enter.
Vashti, Vashti.
Have you heard there's a banquet tonight?
No, I didn't know.
Have you heard who the king has chosen?
No, ZERESH hasn't been here.
What happens at a banquet?
Who's bleeding?
Abra and Bathor raise their hands.
So, you're safe.
Are you bleeding?
No. Why? What happens at a banquet?
The men get very drunk.
What men?
The king and his officers.
The men get very drunk, and the king calls for one of the women of the harem to dance for them.
Dance.
And the men get vulgar.
Vulgar?
It's a gang rape.
Tell ZERESH you're bleeding. He won't call a girl who's bleeding.
He's not going to call TIAMAT. She hasn't been here long enough to complete the period of ritual purification.
Drums.
Listen, it's starting.
ZERESH enters.
Tiamat.
No.
The king has called for Tiamat.
Bleeding, aren't you?
No, she's not.
I'll go. Tell the king I've got a new dance, and that will please him.
TIAMAT can't go. She's not finished with the ritual purification.
King is aware of this. He has set aside the rules.
You did this. You know, no, they never call an inexperienced girl. She's a virgin.
Should I tell the king that the queen is defying him?
Tell him the girl is sick.
The king can be the judge of that.
ZERESH, tell him about my new dance. I can go.
Tiamat! Should I summon the guards?
Wine. Where's the wine?
Abra pours a glass.
Here, drink this quickly. Drink a lot of it.
Ask for more. Keep asking for more wine.
And listen to the drums. Just close your eyes and listen to the drums. Tiamat, focus on the drums. Don't hear anything else but the drums. Don't feel anything but the drums.
Is there more wine?
Enough of this. The king is waiting.
Here, chew on this. It's hashish. Chew it.
ZERESH pulls TIAMAT away.
Keep asking them for wine. Ask for more wine.
Chew it.
The drums. Listen to the drums.
There is the sound of men shouting and stomping to greet the dancer as the drum beats accelerate.
What a bitch.
Cunt.
You tried.
I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
She worked the last banquet. Come on, let's get her away from the sound of the drums. Where's that wine?
The women gather protectively around Bathor as Abra helps her from the floor. Esther stands watching them. Vashti sinks into a chair. Suddenly, Summer enters. She throws off the burqa, which has been ripped. She is covered in blood.
You!
She rushes at Vashti, tearing at her face and her hair. Esther grabs her and they struggle.
You!
She spits at the queen.
Samar, what happened?
You!
What happened?
What happened? You! You!
Who did this?
You know! You know! You...
I don't know. I don't know.
You paid them. The soldiers, you hired the 2 soldiers who were waiting outside Esther's house. You!
Abra enters. Summer is wrestling violently with Esther.
She's all right. Anana, Zendra, help!
Inanna and Zendra enter, and the 3 women restrain Samar.
Bitch! Cut! Whore! I'll kill you!
I'll take care of her, Vashti. Wine?
They exit.
Because of the captain.
The captain?
The one you sent to court me.
No. No.
Yes! His military brothers were avenging him. I turned him down, and they were going to teach me a lesson. But they got the wrong woman. Vashti, that rape was intended for me.
No, I didn't know.
The drumming has gotten louder. Suddenly Tiamat screams. ZERESH appears.
The king is calling for you.
But I'm the queen. The queen is never called to appear at the banquets.
Well, I guess the king has made an exception for you.
She's coming. She needs to clean up first.
Who are you?
Esther, the gatekeeper's niece.
Esther, the woman who prefers women to men?
Another scream from Tiamat.
Tell the king that the queen is changing into her finest dress.
And I'm sure you'll help her take off the old one.
Another scream. ZERESH turns towards the sound and then turns back to Esther.
I wouldn't advise you to keep the king waiting.
ZERESH exits. Esther starts to put the torn burqa over Vashti.
Come on, Vashti. We're leaving.
He can't call for me. I'm the queen.
He's the king. He can do whatever he wants. Come on!
I'm the queen.
Please! Help me! Please, please!
Come on!
The 2 women exit the harem as the drums swell. Blackout. End of act. Act 2, Scene 1. The courtyard of Sarah's home, several months later. Esther and Jael are busy sorting clothing at a long table. A bowl of figs, a knife, a loaf of bread, a pitcher, and a cup for water are on the table. Sarah is counting money. Vashti, visibly pregnant, sits apart watching them. Esther takes a heavy shawl from one pile.
This is something we'll need on the journey. Here, Jael. The rest of these are ready for the market.
What about these?
I haven't gotten to them yet. Go ahead and see what you can get for those robes.
How long are you and your family staying with Sarah?
Not too much longer. We need to leave as soon as we can. It's dangerous for us everywhere.
Oh, what about Rachel? She's welcome to stay with us.
I think that would be upsetting to Mordecai, to be separated from her right now. This whole thing has just been very hard on him. And his war memories are starting to come back. I think he needs to have Rachel with him right now.
Well, we'd love to have her, and Deborah's getting together some of her things to give to Rachel for the trip.
Your daughter doesn't need to do that.
She wants to. It was her idea.
Jael starts to exit.
Wait, I need to lock the gate behind you.
She exits with Jael. Esther begins sorting clothes, making a point of ignoring Vashti. Vashti begins to work on a pile, but Esther moves it away from her. Sarah returns, taking note of the tension between the 2 women.
How much do we have so far?
With what Jael sold this morning, about 30 shekels.
We're gonna need more than that for a second donkey.
We'll raise it. I've asked my sister to help.
Is that safe?
I told her it was for a widow. Don't worry. You're so nervous. You have to trust.
Trust. I've lost my home. My uncle's lost his job. We're in hiding with one family 1 week and another the next. waiting for enough money for the trip back to Israel. Every day that goes by, we're in more danger.
Esther, it's my fault. I'm the reason you've lost everything. Why don't you take my jewels and sell them? That's more than enough for a donkey.
He puts the necklace and bracelet she was wearing on the table.
So I send Jael or Sarah to the market with some old sandals, a worn robe or two, and 6 or 7 rubies and emeralds. Where would people like us have gotten a treasure like that except by stealing? Do you think that we wouldn't be arrested on the spot? And then, if they were discovered to be the jewels of the runaway Queen Vashti, whom everyone in the kingdom is out searching for, well, they wouldn't just hang us like thieves, but our whole families would be hanged as traitors. Your jewels are more worthless than stones. You may as well throw them away.
She shoves them towards Vashti, but changes her mind.
No, I can't even trust you to do that. I'll get rid of them.
Esther.
What? I'm sorry, but she just doesn't understand.
She loves you, Esther. She's lost everything.
Well, she deserves it. She was the one who thought it was such a great thing to marry the king. She was the one who thought nothing bad could ever happen to a queen, just to everybody else. Well, now she knows what it's like to be everybody else. Am I supposed to hold her hand and tell her how sorry I am? What a tragedy it is that she has to live like me now and like the rest of my people? And what about us? We've lost everything too.
No, Esther. You still have your people and each other.
Vashti re-enters.
I'm leaving. I'm sorry, Sarah. I can't pay you or I can't pay you for your hospitality, but I won't endanger your family or yours any longer.
Where are you going? You can't go back to the palace.
I'm going home.
No, you're not.
I'm going back to my family.
No.
What do you mean, no?
I can't let you do that.
I'm not going to stay here any longer and have you talk to me like I'm a child and treat me like I have leprosy. I'm going back to my family. They can hide me as well as your friends.
And what if they don't? What if they turn you over to the king? And what if the king makes you tell him where we are and who's been helping us?
My family would never betray me.
Oh, Vashti, you are so stupid!
Esther.
She is! She was wrong about the captain, and she was wrong about the king, and now she thinks her family, that pimped her out to the king in the first place, is gonna risk their lives just to hide their disobedient daughter who ran away from her wifely duties, ran off with her girlfriend? Vashti, can you really see your family? Your family? With all their servants? Can you see them living like this? Like us? Selling off their silks at market, getting down on their knees to milk their own goats, eating out of clay bowls in little huts made out of mud? Can you see that? And for a daughter?
Esther.
It's not enough that she breaks my heart and ruins my family. Now she wants to have us all hanged.
Sarah puts down her pile of clothing and exits. Vashti is weeping. Esther folds a few items.
Vashti. Oh, my dove, in the clefts of the rock, in the covert of the cliff, let me see your face. Let me hear your voice. For your voice is sweet, and your face is comely. Catch us the little foxes that spoil the vineyards, for our vineyards are in blossom. Vashti, I'm sorry.
Esther begins to stroke her hair.
Remember how we used to do this? You would comb my hair and wrap it around my head like a turban. And now you're going to have a baby. You'll comb her hair. I'm sorry, Vashti. I felt so much responsibility.
I can share that responsibility. Let me. I know you don't trust me. My world is changing. It has changed. But I'm a strong woman and a smart woman. I used to be a queen.
The ways of a queen won't get you very far when you're poor.
I can learn. I can. I will. I just need you to trust me.
Vashti. I was so in love with you. You were mother, sister, lover to me. You were my whole world. You were everything to me. There was nothing I wouldn't have done for you. You were my goddess. I wasn't a Jew. I didn't worship God. I worshipped you. I was not living in exile because I was living with you. You were my world. I lived for you. And you left. My goddess just walked away. Do you know what I went through? You've lost your kingdom, but I lost the light of my being. I lost my soul, myself. When you left, Vashti, it almost killed me.
You knew I would marry.
I knew how you looked at me when I lay in your arms. How you kissed me. I knew you loved me.
I do.
And I never believed that you would want a man instead of me.
It wasn't about that.
It was about that. What else would it be about?
It was about my family, my position.
No! It was about you, Vashti. My lover. It was about you taking what we had and what we had. It wasn't just yours and tearing it up.
She grabs one of the garments off the table and tears it.
Ripping it up and ripping and ripping.
Vashti tries to take it out of her hands, but Esther pushes her away.
You just ripped me, us, everything.
She throws the garment on the ground.
And now you say, trust me. Put these back together, and I will trust you.
Sarah! Esther! Open the gate! It's me! Esther!
Rachel! Don't call my name like that!
I'm sorry, I forgot! I was at jail and Rebecca's, and jail just came from the market.
Putting some coins into Esther's hand.
Here, this is for you. And she said the king's soldiers are rounding up all the girls.
What?
The king is looking for a new queen, and he's rounding up all the girls in the city.
Oh,
Jael said I should go home and tell you, and I should hide.
They're not going to take Jewish girls. There aren't any Jews in the harem.
That's right, Rachel. You don't have to worry.
They'll just rape someone else's niece.
How are you feeling today, Vashti?
Better.
Were you sick this morning?
Just a little.
Well, you just keep drinking the goat's milk.
You're so good to me.
We women have to stick together.
Have you seen your father?
Isn't he here?
I thought he was with you.
No.
Oh, I wish he wouldn't go out like that without telling us.
There's someone at the gate.
Hide.
Vashti ducks into the house.
What's that?
It's your father.
Vashti re-enters.
I'll unlock the gate.
What's he doing?
Esther enters with Mordecai. He has a piece of parchment in his hand.
Uncle, what is it?
Is he hurt?
Did someone see you?
Are you hurt? Daddy, what's the matter? What happened?
He's not saying.
See what's on the scroll.
Esther takes the parchment. Vashti pours out a cup of water for Mordecai and tries to get him to hold it.
Here is some water. Hold the cup.
Mordecai takes the cup.
It's an order for a massacre.
No.
What is it?
An order from the king for a massacre of all the Jews.
Vashti reads.
It has the king's signet on it. It's official.
When?
In 3 days.
3 days. We can do it.
He gathers
Here.
all of the items on the table together and shovels them into Rachel's arms.
Take this to Giles. Tell her to sell them all. Everything. Take whatever she can get. We don't care.
Is Jael coming too? And Deborah?
This is a judgment on Israel. Because I rejected your mother, because I hardened my heart against her when she was used by the Persian soldiers, because I turned her away. This is God's judgment on me. I have forsaken my house. I have abandoned my heritage. I have given the beloved of my soul into the hands of her enemies. My heritage has become to me like a lion in the forest. She has lifted up her voice against me, therefore I hate her.
Uncle!
Hear, O women, the word of the Lord, and let your ear receive the words of his mouth. Teach to your daughters a lament, and each to her a neighbor's dirge.
Uncle!
For death has come up to our windows, it has entered our palaces, cutting off the children from the streets and the young men from the squares.
He grabs Rachel.
Speak, thus say the Lord. The bodies of men shall fall like dung upon the open field. Leaves sheaves after the reaper.
Stop it! Stop it, Mordecai!
Come here with me. Here, I'll give you some water. See, your cup? Let's have some water here. Sarah has left us some figs. Here, I'll take the stem off. Would you like a fig? Rachel, why don't you get some goat's milk for your father? And get some for yourself. We women have to stick together. Go on, it's for you. Eat it. Here, see how good it is?
We have to go before they close the city.
You think they haven't done that already? Good. And now some water.
Why? Why? We aren't in any danger. We haven't got anything. Why kill us? We do all the jobs the Persians won't take. I don't understand.
Because the Persians believe they are a chosen people.
I brought some for you too.
You are such a good little mother. See the milk your daughter brought us?
He's reliving the war.
Have some milk, Mordecai.
What are we going to do?
We're going to stay together. We're always going to stay together. Together like this.
We have to find a way out.
Suddenly, there is the sound of wood splintering.
The gate.
Haman enters, followed by MARSENA and guards. There's no time for Vashti to hide. She turns away and covers her face.
Well, 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 if it isn't our former gatekeeper, taking a little leave of absence. Well, old man, I'm afraid you won't have much of a gate to guard here anymore. Wow, cat got your tongue?
He's sick.
And who is this?
My name is Hadassah.
Hadassah. And your friend?
She's my sister.
Your sister? Why is she being so unsociable?
She's very modest.
Modest?
She's pregnant. What do you want?
Captain!
We are here on special orders of His Majesty the King of Persia to summon all virgins over the age of 13 to the palace.
Captain, we are Jews.
All of you?
All of us.
Even your sister?
I'm 13.
Rachel!
I can go.
No!
I can. Take me!
No! My cousin is not a virgin.
What?
Yes, Rachel, I must tell them. The night of the king's banquet, she was raped by 2 of your soldiers. Captain, it seems they thought she was me.
I knew nothing about it.
I am sure the captain's friends will be proud to tell you all about it. And if you take her to the king and he discovers that she is not a virgin, it will be on your head.
Esther, I didn't know.
Esther! So this is the famous gatekeeper's niece, the one who has sworn she will never have a husband. My wife tells me you were at the palace the night the queen disappeared. She also tells me the queen was going to have a baby.
I have an offer to make.
An offer? The gatekeeper's niece wants to bargain with the king of Persia.
I want to bargain with you.
Esther turns her back on MARSENA and the guards. She brings out Vashti's jewels.
I will give you these if you will leave my family alone.
And just how would a gatekeeper's niece have come by a treasure like this?
I found them.
You found them? I see. They look just like the jewels worn by the late Queen of Persia.
I told you, I found them.
Yes, so you did. Maybe your sister has more information about them.
Wait! If the Queen of Persia was still alive, and if the rumor was true that she was pregnant, and if that child turned out to be a boy, wouldn't he still be heir to the throne of Persia in spite of his mother's disgrace?
That would be assuming he lived.
And assuming he lived, what if something were to happen to the king so that one of his advisors needed to take control of the country? Might it not be a helpful thing for that advisor if it should be discovered that there was a young prince, a legitimate heir to the throne, so that the advisor could then be acting on behalf of that child as a legally appointed regent until the child came of age? Might that not prevent people from believing that the advisor had staged a coup?
The gatekeeper's niece is a shrewd negotiator.
He wraps the jewels slowly and puts them into a fold of his robe, and then he turns abruptly to exit.
Come on, men, let's go. Captain, bring the gatekeeper's niece.
Sir.
Bring her.
No! No! Take me! Take me!
Rachel, I need you to stay here. You must take care of the family, do you understand? Captain, do you think I might be allowed to say goodbye to my sick uncle before we go?
Men.
The guards stand back. Esther crosses to the table where Mordecai sits. She leans over to kiss him, slipping the knife into her robe.
Mordecai, I'm going now. Rachel will take care of you.
She kisses him on the forehead.
I'm ready now.
I'm sorry. I didn't know this
No,
was everything.
of course. You just thought it would be someone else's family you were destroying. An understandable mistake.
The guards move towards her.
Please ask your men not to touch me. I can walk without their help.
Mortified, MARSENA nods to the guards. Esther exits with the guards following.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He exits.
Where is Esther?
They've taken her to the palace.
Why? Why is she going to the palace? Why were there soldiers here?
The king is looking for a new queen. He sent the soldiers to gather up the women.
This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all of his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Happy is the man who takes refuge in him. Rachel, get on your knees and thank God. We are saved. Don't you understand? We are saved.
How can you be happy?
Because God has sent Esther to turn the heart of the king. God has sent Esther to be the queen of Persia.
Esther will never be queen.
Yes, God has willed it. A bridegroom. The nations shall see your vindication, and all of the kings your glory, and you shall be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord will give. You shall be a crown of beauty in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of your God. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall your God rejoice over you. Esther, a queen. Esther, a queen, she will save us. My Esther will save Israel. Come, Vashti, be happy. Be happy for the Jews. This is the hand of God.
She will kill herself.
No, she will live. She will live. We are saved. We are saved. I have to tell the good news. I have to tell the good news. We are saved.
Is it true? Will she kill herself? How do you know?
Because I know what they will try to do to her.
What?
Oh, Rachel, you're too young.
No, I'm not. I'm a woman.
You are a woman. And you offered to go with Haman to save me and to save Esther. That was very brave of you. You are a woman.
Then tell me the truth. Tell me the truth.
Do you know what rape is?
Of course.
And what do you think marriage is?
It is a union between a man and a woman before the eyes of God. What? Vashti, what? Tell me the truth!
Do you remember when Esther called my gift a slave costume?
Yes.
She was right. I was a slave.
You were the queen.
Oh, I was a slave.
How?
Good night. I was a slave.
How?
I let a man touch me when I didn't want to be touched. That is the lowest form of slavery.
Did he hurt you?
Did he hurt me? A hurt? Like a bruise or a cut? No. But a hurt like a great hollowness, an emptiness. A death in the heart that nobody sees. How can it be a hurt when there is nothing there to feel? But it is the deepest hurt, the worst pain, because it's not there, but it never goes away. You don't understand, do you?
I think I do. It's like my mother. I don't remember her, but I still miss her every day. I never knew her, but the hurt never goes away.
Maybe it's something like that. When men touch you, you forget something you can't remember.
And you think Esther will kill herself?
I know she will.
But you didn't.
I let a man touch me because I didn't know who I was. Esther knows herself. She's a proud woman and she will never let them do that. And Rachel, you must never let them either.
She rises.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the palace. I want to die with Esther.
But the baby!
The baby will have had a courageous mother.
What about me?
You are a woman now. And in the world of men, a woman must make choices. She must understand the consequences of all her choices. You are lucky to have grown up with the example of Esther. Make your choices with the courage and integrity of Esther, and you will feel the goddess in you. Do you understand?
Yes. I do.
Don't make the mistake I did. don't worship a king.
Or a god.
Vashti kisses Rachel, and Rachel stands. Finding a robe, she grabs it and exits. Blackout. End of scene. Act 2, Scene 1. Scene 2. Outside the gate to the king's harem, the same day, a new gatekeeper, Shethar, stands guard at Mordecai's old post. ZERESH enters.
Open the gate!
No one may enter the king's harem.
Fool, I am the mistress of the harem. Now open the gate.
No one may enter the king's harem.
As I told you, I am the mistress of the harem. Now open the gate.
I am sorry, but my orders are not to let anyone in.
This is an outrage. Open the gate immediately.
He doesn't move. She tries to open it herself, and he draws his sword.
You dare! What is your name?
Shethar.
Shethar, you are going to be out of a job after I report you to my husband.
Yes, ma'am.
I will see that you hang.
Yes, ma'am.
Here he is now. Haman.
Is someone calling me?
Husband.
You there, gatekeeper. Are you calling me?
No, sir.
This man has dared to refuse to open the gate for me.
And yet he is not wearing a hat.
Order him to open it immediately.
My good fellow, is this woman harassing you?
My orders are to let no one into the harem.
Ah, I think I can resolve our difficulty, for I can assure you, on the best authority, that this woman who stands before you is in fact no one. And so, as you have been ordered to let no one enter, you may, and indeed, you should open the gates for her forthwith.
Yes, sir.
He opens the gates.
What? I did as you asked. And look, the gates are open. It appears you have opened the gates for no one and nothing.
Shall I close them, sir?
I think you had better.
Yes, sir.
He closes them.
Gatekeeper, you may take a break, and I will watch the gate. Trust me, I shall see that no one enters before you get back.
Shethar exits. Haman smiles. ZERESH slaps him. He grabs her.
Don't you ever do that again!
You humiliated me!
And you deserved it! The way you talk to people makes me sick. Everything about you makes me sick. Understand that I can have you killed anytime I want.
And my family would have you hanged the next hour.
Your family of corrupt little straw bosses toadying up to the king and lording it over their servants. Your family is more worthless, more than any slave who does a decent day's work laying bricks. You understand that? Stupid, arrogant, conceited.
ZERESH slaps him again. Haman goes to strike her, but checks himself.
Yes, you step back. You nothing. You nobody. Who were you before you married me? Nobody. And without me, you would be nobody again.
I have orders from the king for you.
Oh?
Oh, you are to inform the women of the harem that the king has made his choice. The king has chosen Esther as his queen.
Esther, that Jew.
And that Jew will be giving you your orders from now on.
No.
No?
You did this. You did this to humiliate me.
You humiliate yourself. And I would advise you not to insult the new queen of Persia. She's a very intelligent woman, and a very proud one, too. She'll have less patience than I for your foolish behaviors.
Husband, this time you have gone too far.
No, I think not far enough.
What do you mean by that?
Haman opens the gate for her. ZERESH hesitates and then enters the harem. Haman slams the gate behind her. Blackout. End of scene. Act 2, Scene 3. The army barracks the same day. The soldiers are taking their orders from DARIUS.
Makany! Makany!
Sir.
You will lead your men to the palace from the northeast gate of the city. Gabatha.
Sure.
You will lead the attack from the southeast gate.
Darius! Darius. Did you know anything about the plot to rape Esther?
Captain, I am giving my men orders.
Did you know anything about it? Did you?
Captain!
MARSENA
if you
draws
did,
his dagger.
I will kill you. I will kill you like a dog.
No.
Swear!
I swear.
MARSENA takes a moment before releasing him.
Does anyone here know anything about it?
That be Esther the Jew?
What do you know?
I know she is a Jew, sir.
And is there anything wrong with that, soldier?
Not unless she was the queen's whore.
MARSENA jumps on him, and before Gabatha has time to resist, MARSENA has already plunged his dagger into Gabatha's heart.
Men, here, Makany, you, take the body away. The rest of you return to your barracks until further orders.
Captain, sir.
Yes.
Who will lead Gabatha's division, sir?
I will. I'll lead the charge from the southeast. Dismissed.
The men disperse.
Are you crazy? You could have got us both killed.
Darius, swear to me that you had nothing to do with the rape.
I swear. I swear. Listen, you've got to pull yourself together.
Prove it.
Prove it.
Prove your friendship to the Jews.
How?
Join me. Join me and Haman.
Haman? What are you talking about?
Tonight.
What do you think is happening tonight?
Haman and I will present an order to the king countermanding the massacre of the Jews. If he refuses to sign, Haman will show him the list of officers sympathetic to the Jews and make him realize that there will be a mutiny if he doesn't.
How did Haman get this list?
I gave it to him. He has been sympathetic to the Jews, but until I could give him proof that there was support, he didn't feel he had enough leverage to act on it.
Oh, man.
But now I have given him the list and he will be able to do.
You gave him the list.
Yes. And I want your name to be added.
MARSENA, this morning, all those officers were arrested this afternoon, and this afternoon they were hanged.
You lie.
Look up. You can see some of them from here on the palace walls.
MARSENA looks to where he's pointing.
This is your list.
But Haman.
Haman is with us, MARSENA. He's with Persians. Who do you think gave the orders to execute those men?
No.
Yeah. Your man, Haman. He's going to use the disruption of the massacre to take over the palace. The army is going in tonight. Tomorrow, the people will be so caught up in the killing of the Jews, they won't even know what's happening until it is all over. Haman is going to be king.
King?
Buddy, I think you need a new strategy. Your team just lost the ball. We're marching at midnight. You better be there.
Darius exits. MARSENA turns back towards the site of his dead comrades. He draws his sword and falls on it.
Esther!
He dies. Blackout. End of scene. Act 2, Scene 4, the interior of the harem that same day. Esther sits in Vashti's chair. She wears the same clothing she wore at the time of her arrest.
Salon, where we sat down and wept when we remembered Zion. On the willows there, we hung up our lyres. For there our captors required of us songs, and our tormentors mirth sang. sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing our sacred song in a foreign land?
Vashti enters.
Vashti, what are you doing here?
I came to be with you.
How did you get in?
Haman was at the gate. I covered my face and told him I was here to see my sister.
He knows! He knows who you are! Don't you understand they're going to kill you?
Yes, I understand that.
Then why did you come?
I came to be with you.
Why? What good will that do? Now they'll kill both of us!
I'm already dead.
What do you mean?
You were right when you talked about how I left you. Taking our love for granted as if it was something that would always be there, something I had a right to. I was wrong. And you can't forgive me because you can't forget. You have been faithful to the memory and I have forgotten everything. And when I forgot that love, something in me, something that was sacred, died. You should have left me here, Esther. This is a place for women who are already dead. When they take your body, they take your soul. I came here to die with you.
I'm scared.
I can kill you. If that's what you want, if that would be easier.
You would do that?
If that's what you want.
The horror has become very real for Esther, and she begins to cry.
I can do it myself. I have a knife.
She produces the knife concealed in her robe.
Oh, Esther. That old knife of Sarah's won't even cut bread.
Esther looks at the knife in despair. Suddenly, Vashti starts to laugh. She brandishes the knife, laughing. Esther starts to laugh too. The two women collapse in laughter, holding each other.
What are we going to do?
We're going to stay together always.
Holding Esther close.
Like this.
Oh, Vashti, the way you smell, your hair, your skin. Oh, I love you.
Oh, I don't care what they do to me. I have your love again.
The two women kiss. It is a passionate but tender kiss. Suddenly, Abra enters.
Abra?
Vashti, what are you doing here?
I came to be with Esther. How is Bathor?
She's fine. But you have to get out of here. They'll kill you.
I know.
No, we have to get you out.
I'm not leaving without you.
Then we both have to get out.
But Haman is at the gate.
You can use the passage to the king's chambers.
But won't the king be in there?
Vashti picks up the knife.
We just have to kill him.
Nobody has seen the king since the night of the banquet. He might be sick.
Abra, that girl the night of the banquet, the new one.
She's alive. She tried to hang herself later, but we found her in time.
Oh, goddess.
It wasn't your fault.
I should have gone with her.
You couldn't have saved her.
She wouldn't have been alone.
Come on. We have to try it.
I have a knife.
Where did you get that?
From one of the guards. A favor.
You stay here. The women can hide you.
No. Together. Remember?
But look at you.
There's twice as many of me.
Was she always like this?
She's the queen.
Abra offers Esther the knife.
Here, you take the good knife. I'll take Sarah's.
No, I'll take it.
No, I want it. Don't make me use it.
Vashti takes Abra's knife.
See how she is?
You better get going. Good luck.
They
Abra!
exit.
Abra!
Suddenly, Inanna rushes in.
What?
The soldiers. The soldiers are marching on the palace.
Where?
From all over the city. We can see them from the tower.
The other
Why?
harem women rush in.
Why are they coming here? Why?
It's a revolt. I'll bet Haman's behind it.
You mean they're going to kill the king?
Well, the king may already be dead.
What are we going to do?
When the soldiers get here, they'll rape all of us and probably murder most of us when they're through.
Abra, we can jump off the tower. Come on.
No, wait. Inanna, bring us the swords that you use for your saber dance.
But they're just for dancing. They're not sharp at all.
It doesn't matter. Bring them. We'll fight.
The women strip off their jewelry, and Inanna returns with the swords.
Esther and Vashti have already left for the king's chambers. Let's go.
The women grab the swords. Samar enters and blocks the women.
You won't get far.
Amar.
I just reported to ZERESH that you all are trying to escape. Look at you. Little soldiers. What did you think you were going to do? Stop an army of men? You look foolish.
You idiot. You're in as much danger as we are.
The king is going to reward me.
You're crazy. She's crazy. Come on. We haven't got time to waste.
You won't get far. Soldier girls.
Suddenly she sees Tiamat.
Where did they go? Where are the women?
Why do you care?
Where did the others go?
To the king's chambers. But it won't matter. They're going to be raped anyway. So are you.
No.
No. Do you really think a bunch of whores with toy swords are going to stop an army? Or maybe they'll just dance them to death. That's it. They'll take their little sabers and dance them all to death. Oh, dance! Dance for the soldiers! Oh, come on. Why don't you join me? I heard you were quite the little dancer at the banquet.
Suddenly Tiamat leaps on her and wrestles her to the floor. They engage in a violent struggle. Samar continues to laugh. Finally, Tiamat succeeds in strangling her. She rises, running in the direction of the other women. Blackout. End of scene. Act 2, Scene 5. The courtyard of Jael's house. The Jewish women are holding a council meeting.
We can leave tonight.
They've closed the gates.
Tonight.
They've closed the gates to the city. We won't be able to get out.
We have to try.
Maybe one of the gatekeepers will let us through. He'll feel sorry for us.
Maybe one of them will.
They've taken Esther! They've taken Esther!
What?
Haman came with 2 guards and they took Esther with them. They almost got Vashti and I tried to get them to take me, but Esther said I wasn't a virgin. They took her instead.
To be the queen.
A Jew?
They'll kill her.
Vashti said Esther would kill herself and she's gone to the palace to be with her.
Where's your father?
Gone to tell everyone the good news.
Rachel, you come with us. We are leaving tonight.
No, I have a plan. We can get Esther and Vashti. We can! Listen! We can go to the palace. We will wear burqas and they won't be able to see our faces. They'll think we're more virgins coming in from the country for the king's harem. They'll let us in because we're just women. I know where the harem is because my father used to be the guards for the gate. I can lead us.
Rachel, we have our families to think of.
And I have mine. I'll go without you.
Wait. Rachel, I will go with you.
Sarah, it's suicide.
Jael, if some of us go with Rachel and we can get into the palace, One of us may have the chance to kill the king. It's possible that could cause a division among the soldiers. Remember, they just hanged all those officers this morning. If the king were dead, there might be an insurrection. The Persians might kill each other instead of us.
It's too dangerous.
I will go with you.
And me.
No, Deborah.
Yes, I will go.
No.
Mother, I've grown up watching you and your friends bowing to the Persians, smiling at the Persians, taking care of their babies, doing all the work that they don't want to do. And look, now they are planning to kill us all. Where does it end? Why don't we admit it? They've already taken our lives. Just once, I want to see a Persian man afraid of me. I want him to know how it feels. And if I can only kill one Persian before I die, well, maybe some of them will remember that the next time they see a Jewish woman, maybe they will think she is dangerous too. Mother, I want to make them scared of us.
That is the Lord's business.
The Lord has forgotten the women. We've forgotten ourselves.
I will come with you.
I'll go.
And me.
Come on! Get your burkas and your knives and let's go! Hurry!
The women scatter, leaving Rachel and Deborah and Sarah.
Esther will be proud of you today.
Blackout. End of scene. Act 2, Scene 6. The throne room of the palace of the King of Persia. The throne faces its back to the audience.
You stay back.
No, I'm coming with you.
Then stand behind me.
Be careful.
Suddenly, Haman, who has been sitting on the throne, rises and turns to face them.
Haman!
If it isn't the gatekeeper's niece and her sister. Come in. I've been expecting you.
Where is the king?
The king?
Tell us where he is.
How would I know? Maybe his former queen would have an idea. Why don't you ask her?
We've come to speak with the king. I demand to see him.
Oh, I don't know if you want to do that. He's been dead for 3 months. That's right. And because of this, I'm afraid your sister's pregnancy could be hazardous to her health. But you made me a proposal, and now I have one for you. It's right.
Can you wait in the passage? Make sure no one comes.
Esther, be careful.
Your Majesty.
Indicating the throne.
Would you like to try it out? You are the queen.
How can I be queen if the king has been dead for 3 months?
Because countries are not ruled by kings. They're ruled by this.
He shows her a ring that has been concealing.
This little ring of metal. The king of this. This is what rules a country. This is what makes kings. The little metal ring. With this ring, I have made you a king of Persia.
But why?
Because you are not like other women. Because you study history and languages. You are clever and you are strong.
And I am a Jew.
I have nothing personally against the Jews.
You and your ring ordered the massacre.
It was expedient. I needed a distraction. War is always a good distraction. And your people, because they won't assimilate, are perfect scapegoats. Look, already I've been able to hang half the officers in the army. Your boyfriend, before he killed himself, gave me the names of all the men who were Jewish sympathizers. Helpful of him, wasn't it? And tomorrow's little fracas will keep everyone so busy they won't know what to think about the announcement of the king's death and my appointment as regent. You, of course, out of respect for the late king, will remain the queen. Together, we shall rule Persia. Until, of course, Vashti's child comes of age.
And kills the man who murdered her father. You will never let that happen.
Maybe not, but you are in no position to bargain.
Suddenly, ZERESH steps out from behind a wall hanging. She's armed with a bow and arrow.
Husband!
ZERESH?
She shoots Haman. He falls mortally wounded. ZERESH pulls the arrow out. Turning her back on the dying man, she hands the bloody arrow to Esther. The two women stand facing each other in silence. Suddenly, DARIUS with his men burst into the room. ZERESH drops the bow at Esther's feet.
Murder! Murder! Esther has murdered the king and she has slain my husband!
Oh, this is Esther. This is the woman who caused the death of MARSENA. And now she has killed the king and Haman.
He signals to his men. Two of them step forward and pin her arms.
A captain, a vice-chancellor, and a king. Quite impressive for a Jew. And a whore.
He has found her knife and he holds it to her throat.
You know, I paid a little visit to your house with a friend of mine, but it seems you weren't home. Esther, the woman who lies with other women because she has never known the pleasure of a man. Well, tonight, you will entertain my whole battalion. Hold her down.
The men pin Esther to the floor, spread eagle. Standing over her, DARIUS drops the knife between her legs. He begins to open his robe. Suddenly, TIAMAT enters.
Wait!
She rips off the jacket of her harem costume, revealing her breasts. The men are mesmerized.
Let me dance for you.
She begins a seductive belly dance, weaving her way among the men.
It's the little whore from the banquet. She's going to dance for us, like she danced at the banquet.
She dances seductively past the men, a scarf in her hand. She crosses down to DARIUS, dancing between him and Esther, who is still being held down on the floor. DARIUS's back is to the audience, and TIAMAT is fondling his penis. Suddenly, she seizes Esther's knife from the floor and slices off DARIUS's penis. He doubles over as TIAMAT raises the bloody scarf containing the severed member. With her other hand, she raises the knife and plunges it into DARIUS's back, killing him. Just then, the harem women, led by Vashti, enter. They join TIAMAT's cries with cries of their own and begin to advance on the men with their swords. The men start to move back. Suddenly, Rachel and Deborah, followed by the Jewish women, enter, cutting off the retreat of the men. Rachel seizes one of the men and puts her knife to his throat. She turns to the men who are still holding Esther on the floor.
Release her!
The men let go of Esther and back away from her. Esther snatches at and breaks the chain with the ring that is around Haman's neck. As she does this, ZERESH grabs Esther's throat. Vashti rushes over and stabs ZERESH. She grabs the bow and the bloody arrow and covers Esther's retreat. As the two women exit down the passage, there is a tremendous battle cry as both bands of women, brandishing their weapons, advance on the trapped men. Blackout. End of scene. Act 2, Scene 7. The interior of the abandoned harem. Esther is hurriedly finishing writing something on a piece of parchment. Vashti, still armed with the bow and arrow, stands guard over her as she works. The muted sound of the battle in the throne room are audible.
I've written it in Aramaic for the Jews. Now, can you write it in Persian?
Read it.
I, Ahasuerus, king of Persia, have been deceived by my chancellor Haman, and find that the Jews, who were consigned to annihilation by this thrice accursed man, are not evildoers, but are governed by most righteous laws. Therefore, I hereby command the Jews which are in every city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and the province that would assault them.
Esther takes a candle and uses the king's signet ring, applying the seal.
Are we ready to go?
To stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish.
Cause to perish.
All the power of the people and the province that would assault them.
That would assault them.
Suddenly, a great ululation of victory from the women in the throne room is heard. Esther hurriedly applies the seal to the Persian proclamation.
Come on, let's go. We must get the proclamation posted all over the city.
She gathers up both parchments and exits holding Vashti's hand. Blackout. End of scene. Act 2, Scene 8, the courtyard of Sarah's house. In the darkness, there is the sound of drumming and women's voices singing Esther's song. As the lights come up, the harem women and the Jewish women, singing, file onto the stage, forming a circle. They carry flowers.
Daughters of Babylon, where we sat down and wept when we remembered Zion. On the willows there we hung up our lyres, for there our captives required of us songs, and our tormentors, mirth saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing our sacred song in a foreign land?
The drumming stops and Sarah steps forward.
Today we gather for the first anniversary of our deliverance from our enemy. We gather to commemorate our sisters who died in the struggle, our sisters who have been wounded in the struggle, and our sisters who are healing. We call in the spirits of the fallen and the wounded.
The drumming resumes as the women place their flowers in the center and call out the names. When they have finished, the circle parts, and Esther and Vashti appear. They walk to the center. Vashti holds a 1-year-old baby in her arms.
In the presence of the spirits of these sisters, we also gather to consecrate ourselves to the protection of our daughters, to teach them the sacred right and duty of self-defense, and to master these arts ourselves, so that never again will we feel helpless or confused in the face of our enemy, and so that our children can lie down in peace and rise up in hope.
Vashti holds up the baby, and the women join hands and lift their arms with a cry of strength and purpose. Sarah speaks to Esther.
You are leaving us?
I need to find my mother's people.
And Vashti?
We're all going together. Bathor and Abra too.
Our memories of Persia are too painful.
We will miss you, Esther.
Vashti steps forward, pronouncing a blessing on Esther and on all the women.
My beloved spake, and said unto me, Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth. The time of the singing birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. The fig tree putteth forth her green figs, and the vines with the tender grape give a good smell. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away.
Gentle drumming begins as the women form a procession, behind Esther, Vashti, Rachel, Abra, and Bathor. As they exit, the women follow. Blackout. End of play.